Oh, hello. Welcome to the 2013 Hundie Challenge. Today we're going to be discussing The Importance of Being Earnest by Arm & Hammer. Dee-doo-dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-dee-doo-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo-doo. When I first came up with the idea for reading 100 books in 1 year, it was specifically because I felt that I had big gaps in my literary knowledge. And I think that I specifically said that I had never read Faulkner or Hemingway or Joyce. And those were the three big standouts for me. So far I've not been impressed with Faulkner or Joyce. And I came across Farewell to Arms kind of maybe down and disappointed with the other supposed greats who I had not been appreciating so far. I was pleasantly surprised that Farewell to Arms was a very, very good book. The only experience that I've ever had with Hemingway was a short story called A Clean, Well-Lighted Place, which I didn't care for. I guess it was an old man's short story, and maybe you appreciate it more when you're an old man. But I didn't understand it. I didn't care for it. A Farewell to Arms was something that I could really relate to. I don't want to say on a visceral level, because Hemingway is almost explicitly non-visceral. He describes everything in a very even keel throughout the book. Whether they're making macaroni and cheese for dinner, or whether he's getting wounded by a mortar, or whether his wife is dying in childbirth, it's all described in more or less the same sort of tone. He never really gets excited. The most excited he gets is when his first-person narrator he'll start gibbering a little bit for maybe a paragraph. But beyond that, you never really get a sense of what's going on in Henry's mind. His name is Frederick Henry, and he volunteered for the Italian army, and the Italians call him Federico Enrico, which I guess is like a literal translation of Frederick Henry, which I didn't know that Enrico was Henry before. That just never something that really occurred to me before. But in any case, this is kind of the famous book. I think everybody knows that Hemingway was an ambulance driver in World War I. And when you hear that story, I don't know if it was because he came to popularity in the 60s or what, but you hear that Hemingway was an ambulance driver in World War I, and you get the impression that, oh, well, he was a pacifist, but he didn't want to be seen as a pussy, so he volunteered for the war, but he went and he just drove ambulances instead of just killing guys. What's interesting about A Farewell to Arms is, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it kind of puts lies to that understanding of Hemingway, which I don't know if we got that because his popularity, came in the Vietnam era or what. But he, in the book, shoots and kills an Italian sergeant for running away from his duty, which seems like an odd thing for a pacifist to do. And I think maybe there's a lot more going on with Hemingway. It depends, though. I don't know how much this book is true and how much of it is fictional. It's obvious that Frederick Henry is a thinly veiled version of Ernest Hemingway, and so you suspect that a lot of these things actually happened to him. But where the lines are blurred, I don't know. I'm not a Hemingway scholar. There is also, and again, I think I know so much about Hemingway from cultural osmosis or from hearing about him, which was one of the reasons why I was eager to experience him firsthand, to find out how true those ideas were. One of the big famous things that people say about Hemingway is, well, it's not what he writes, it's what he didn't write. Or he's like an iceberg, like the writing is only the top 10%, and then what's really important is all the bottom 90% that you don't see. Which I always found that to be a stupid metaphor, and, I could just not read if I wanted to read what somebody hadn't written. Having read A Farewell to Arms, I understand why people say that, because, as I said, he never kind of lets on what his emotions are, or if he does, they're very subtle, or you almost have to infer everyone's emotions in the book. There's no change in tenor, there's no change in the prose. Everything's very even-keeled. You wouldn't know whether somebody was, having a glass of vermouth or getting blown up based on the prose, and it would never say he said angrily, which, that's bad writing, but you know what I mean. You can express emotion through the writing and through the behavior of the characters, and they don't. I did not, though, get the impression that was because Hemingway had these hidden unspoken worlds, like the tip of the iceberg. I much more got the impression that he just laid it out there, and he was just like, this is what happened, take away from it what you will, and he didn't feel any need to comment on it, which is a lot more impressive to me than what I had always imagined, which was, oh, well, he just wrote so simply that there was so much going on beneath the surface. Whatever's going on beneath the surface is, I think, whatever you bring to it. If you're, particularly disturbed by, spoiler alert, the baby dying and the mother dying in childbirth, you're gonna take that away from it. If you're particularly disturbed when he's wounded and I think he described his knee as being down on his shin, you're gonna take that away from it. So I kind of think that what Hemingway was doing was rather presenting you with a pot or a vase and saying, this is what this is. You fill this vase with whatever you bring to it. He doesn't tell you how to feel or suggest how you should think his character should feel. He lets the reader fill that in for his or herself. So does he live up to his great reputation? I think so, based on A Farewell to Arms. I'm very impressed. I also recently saw the Silver Linings Playbook, and I believe this was the book that Bradley Cooper threw out of the window because he was so pissed off about his wife leaving him. So that was kind of funny. I didn't really remember that. I picked this out at the library, and I didn't remember that was the book that it was until I started reading it, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is the one with the sad ending from the movie. So thanks for tuning in.